Happy New Year, welcome to Global Gist with DJ. How I miss this space so much, yo. I had in mind, I prayed for you all so much, and trust me, this year is gonna be the most amazing year ever, right? Now let's get into Black Brits and Black Americans. Guys, this 2026, Black Brits have decided to start dragging Black Americans. Why? They said Black Americans don't know how to speak English. Black Americans lack simple comprehension, this, that, and that. And I'm like, is this not too early? Is this not too early, you guys? What's the meaning of all of this? Anyways, I'd like you to go over, watch these videos, right? I have a whole lot to say at the end of these videos. You don't want to miss it, right? Please kindly subscribe, right? Watch this video.
I highlighted that Black British people are misusing slang in their context that doesn't make sense unless you're here in the United States. And a Black British person told me if I don't like that, I should stop speaking their language, which is English. A Black British person said to stop speaking their language. I don't think y'all understand what I'm saying. A Black British person told me to stop speaking English because I'm appropriating. Y'all, a Black British person told me to stop speaking English, their language, English. I'm not trying to start a diaspora war, but I am trying to check on my brethren. Are y'all okay? Because I could swear them ships was making stops outside of just the United States. In fact, we ain't even the biggest stop. What do you mean, your language? Don't piss me off today.
I quite like Americans do not rate us. I just seen a creator say English people think they're using their slang correctly. Do you know how we call feds police here? They're saying that that's not what the term feds means out there. Like, feds is federal government or something like that. Like, it's not police, but we use the word fed as police here, and they're saying it's two different things. Like, they'd rather deal with police than feds. I think feds is like the step above, like federal CIA type, you know, in the movies type thing. And they say they don't talk to the feds out there because that's like level above police, but we use feds as police. But there was like, someone in the comments was like, they ain't got no feds. Ain't nobody want to know what they got going on in Liverpool. Bro, F these lot, man. What the hell? SD Kid's from Liverpool. What the hell? He's bigger than all your artists right now. Like, I hate when fucking African Americans and Black Brits be arguing with each other online. Like, it's so fucking counterproductive. But it's funny as hell because we just be dissing each other. But yeah, and then someone said on our side, which is kind of stupid though, someone said stop speaking English then, but because we're speaking English correctly. But like, none of us, we all shouldn't be speaking English. But yeah, anyways, yeah.
First off, this whole post is condescending. One, I know all of the things you're talking about. I'm aware of what cultural exchange is and cultural appropriation.
Why is it that whenever you're articulate, well-spoken and educated, people always think that you're condescending? How does that trigger an inferiority complex within another person? I will never understand. But anyway, I don't think I'm better than anyone. I'm just presenting my perspective, babes.
I'm aware of like how we all borrow from different parts of the diaspora. I'm not denying that.
You're aware of how we all borrow from different parts of the diaspora, and you're not denying that. So you agree with the conclusion of my video. Thank you.
What I'm not about to sit here and do is let you gaslight the fuck out of me.
A licensed therapist using the term gaslight to refer to me offering informed nuance to a conversation. HIPAA.
Like, y'all do not deny the influence of Black American culture around the globe.
Black American culture is influential around the globe.
Shut the fuck up with that bullshit.
This may be considered condescending, but as much as I love a passionate debate, whenever someone comes to a conversation with this level of like emotion and aggravation, I just feel like maybe they haven't done the reading or research, and it makes me respect that argument a little bit less because I feel like you're coming from a place of feeling and not knowing, and feeling is great, but knowing is power, babe.
First off, even in your caption, the way you glazing UK rappers by comparing them to Shakespeare is exactly what the fuck I mean when I say that y'all do not cite your sources.
Cite sources? British person who speaks English not allowed to jokingly compare British rappers to world-renowned author Shakespeare. Noted. But for anyone who needed the comparison of UK rappers to Shakespeare broken down, Shakespeare is known for inventing or introducing over 1,700 words to the English language today, as well as heavily repurposing words to either slightly or vastly change the word meaning. Today, his flowery, convoluted use of language makes him hard for many to grasp. And by the reaction of many to MLE in UK rap, it would appear that our rappers have the same result. That's the purpose of MLE in UK rap. It's used as a cant or a cryptolect that can't be understood or grasped outside of the culture. So when we see people outside of our culture failing to understand the way in which it operates, it assures us that it's still working to its true purpose and carrying on the legacy of Shakespeare.
This British man was rapping and he said he don't talk to the feds. The UK government does not have a federal government. And then somebody got mad at me because they're like, it's slang for police. No, it's not. Federal agents don't do the same thing as police. Federal agents like the FBI and the DEA, those are drug crimes, the big boy crimes. The one federal prison ain't the same as local and state prison.
I actually can't imagine listening to a song on shuffle and getting this heated, getting this mad. Like I'm in the gym releasing and I'm really even getting mad again. What's going on in America? I'm going to explain how policing in the UK works to those who may have not previously understood. So in the UK, we are not a federation. We don't have a federal government. So both the National Crime Agency and the MI5 would be our equivalent. Funnily enough, in the media, it's referred to as the British FBI. So it's not specific to black culture, but in the global black community, we do draw parallels in how policing happens to black people, which will conceivably influence the use of language. The police are also referred to as the Gestapo, and thank God we don't have the Gestapo in the UK. But there are many other slang terms that we borrow from different languages in UK slang or MLE, including Valhalla, Gulag, Pagan, Samurai, or at least slightly change the meanings of the words in how we use them every day. So yeah, it's not rare, it's not specific to feds only, like it happens with many other different words. And to my memory, I don't remember any of the other communities of people whose words we've borrowed being so upset. But yeah, and also like Valhalla is a Nordic term. There aren't necessarily Nordic people that speak MLE, but we were influenced by that concept. I don't know any Nordic people that were upset with us for that. So yeah.
And y'all swear up and down that y'all can acknowledge that we have a global influence in culture, but y'all don't really do that.
Hip-hop has an undeniable global impact and influences UK rap.
Remember the conversation not too long ago, and this is specifically about the Black Brits. Don't you try to tag in other people in the diaspora, motherfucker. I'm talking to y'all specifically. Y'all don't, stop trying to play a group project when you know somebody calling y'all out for y'all bullshit. Let's start with that.
Group project. Black Brits are a group project. We are an inherently globally black identity. Like, if black people agree with us globally, how is that my fault? I'm sorry for having cousins.
We got on here and we talked about soul food, which is literally a Southern African American tradition. And y'all got on here, Black Brits, and said y'all have soul food too. I did not fucking forget.
Black Brits do not have soul food. Our ethnic foods are comprised of hundreds of various different ethnic cuisines. However, there is a crossover between dishes. I have a video touching on that from a couple of days ago. Anyone interested in learning more about Black American food specifically, I highly recommend watching High on the Hog, How African American Cuisine Transformed America, one of the best shows I've ever watched.
Y'all are not going to manipulate me. I'm a literal licensed therapist, motherfucker. I know when somebody is lying to me and trying to manipulate and gaslight me. Y'all are not going to talk me out of that motherfucking truth.
So did they teach you what manipulate and gaslight meant when you got your therapy license, or do you just use the words when you disagree with someone? Because I think that's quite dangerous as a therapist.
I ain't fucking dumb. When I say y'all, I mean Black Brits have a fucking problem. Y'all do not like to acknowledge African American influence in y'all shit at all.
Love African Americans, love African American influence. Yeah.
You citing all these other cultures to talk about fucking hip hop.
UK rap is not hip hop, my love. Same Caribbean roots, very different journeys, and influenced by, but not based off of, hip hop. It is a very easy mistake to make if you don't know a whole load about UK rap, so I completely understand where the misconception can come from. But I did my final year research project on UK rap for my law degree, and I got a first in that research project. But anyway, it is based in Jamaican sound system culture. So yeah, not hip hop.
And it's not just rap, it's hip hop, a whole culture.
Yeah, I've also watched many documentaries about hip hop, written many essays about hip hop, and also I just listen to the music because I love it.
That y'all don't know a fuck all about.
I feel like you don't either know, listen, hear, comprehend, or understand what I'm saying, so.
And you talking about federations and shit, y'all know that the feds come from hip hop. It does not come from all that other bullshit.
Well, yes and no. AAVE and hip hop influence each other simultaneously, same as MLE and UK rap. But that kind of gets into aesthetics, you know, life imitates art imitates life, but we do know that artists are constantly the innovators of how we use language.
I could go into depth and detail, but I'm not about to be arguing with you in it all day.
There was no depth or detail offered, apparent, or even implied in anything that was said.
I'm not about to let y'all gaslight me. Fuck out of here.
Now, I want to make it really clear that whenever Black Brits or any other non-Black American Black people talk about things like Black Americans don't know where their culture comes from or don't know where they're from, I do not agree with that. I think that's abhorrent. I think it's disgusting. I think any anti-Blackness towards Black Americans is absolutely disgusting. However, but seeing as you're bringing up diasporic issues that you remember, I clearly remember when Ryan Coogler's Sinners came out and so many Black Americans were up in arms about the fact that he showed that one music scene where traditional African tribal music was compared and contrasted with rap music, about how all of these music types and genres are influenced by one another and interdependent of one another. I also remember how many Black Americans were mad at Mona Leo for putting various different flags in her Sexy Salon music video. There were also quite literally Americans yesterday mad in my comments about the fact that I pointed out that Ebonics or AAVE is also influenced by African language and language patterns and dialects. I will never ever deny the influence of Black Americans globally. There's no reason for me to do that. But Black Americans consistently show how irritated they are that they are part of a global Black identity and have no interest in engaging in good faith or with curiosity or willingness to learn or understand the way in which different Black identities exist. One cultural difference I do think, and I really want to, this is not hate, this is not one is right, one is wrong, this is just genuinely a sociological cultural difference between Black Americans and Black Brits. I did say it in my last video, but Black Americans are an ethnicity. They're a singular ethnic group. Like, so inherently, they are one individual culture. That is one culture. So that's Blackness in the US is primarily understood as one culture. Obviously, there are regional variations, but that would be like, there are regions of India, there are regions of Tanzania, there are regions of Uganda. Like, that's how Blackness is mainly understood in America. And that's how Blackness is experienced in America. Not just understood, I'm not saying it's a lower understanding. I'm just saying that's it, the experience of Blackness is an ethnic one. As well as, obviously, there's an understanding from Black Americans that when you come to the US, like, you're judged on the color of your skin. Like, yes, like, a police isn't going to think, when they see you, a police man isn't going to think, like, oh, this person is Nigerian. Obviously, you may speak and you may, like, then they may see you a different way. But in terms of, like, racialization on a, like, standard basis, yes, there is an element of just the physical racialization of Black people, but it's understood as an ethnicity. So, like, but in the UK, Black culture is inherently multicultural, and that includes both in person and online. And I think that in the UK, we have a slightly more, like, understanding that like, for example, we see Somalis as some of the funniest people in the UK, some of the like the best comedians, but like Somali culture is not like Somali culture is not my culture, but Somali culture is black culture. It adds to black culture. You know, Caribbeans and Jamaicans obviously have a massive impact on culture in the UK. But Caribbean culture is not my culture. Like, for example, Notting Hill Carnival is not mine to possess. I don't get to go to Notting Hill Carnival and tell them to play like some like bongo flavor music because I'm Tanzanian. And there was even those conversations a few years ago when people were saying we need to start bringing Afro beats, and they were like, and the Caribbeans were like, why? Like, it's not yours. This is Caribbean culture. If you want to have, which is true, 100% true, that's Caribbean culture, but it is black culture. Because Caribbeans are black racially, but ethnic, or like, I don't know if you say Caribbean as an ethnicity, but you know what I mean, like Caribbean culture is Caribbean culture. And actually there was a girl on the timeline who was talking about how a lot of times the understanding of Caribbean culture in the UK is very limited to like dancehall and bashment, and like people don't understand how actually like a lot of Jamaicans grow up very, very conservative and Christian, because like dancehall is a subculture. Like, it is a way to protest against the like colonized mindsets of how Jamaica was socialized, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense, but like not understanding Jamaican culture fully would mean that we, when engaging with dancehall culture and thinking it's the prominent culture in Jamaica, is kind of like a misrepresentation. But dancehall culture is a large part of black culture in the UK. So the point I'm making is the way that we see it in the UK is that like all these individual cultures that are all individually recognized and protected go into this melting pot to create what is black culture in the UK. And that extends to, because a lot of black culture is in online spaces, and we have a digital culture that expands past just people living in the UK. So for us, like, black Canadian culture is black culture. It's not our culture. We don't own it. We don't have a claim to it, but we engage with it. And then, like, for example, I remember like there was a time when, and again, because obviously there's a big Caribbean population in Canada, but there was a time when there was so much, like, I feel like back and forth of like similar like slang terms from like black Canadians and black Brits. I feel like I remember this. It was like 2018, 2019. I might be misremembering the timeline. But yeah, I don't know if that makes sense. So like, yeah, I don't necessarily think that, you know, Brazilian funk music is my culture, but it is black culture. So when I engage with it, it's a part of black culture. Like, it's like we all come and we all contribute. And I understand that from Americans' perspective, the idea or the understanding, the way that they see it is like, well, we have our own internal culture. So why, we don't ask or need or look for your culture. We're not checking for that. We have our own singular culture. I get that. I just think it's a cultural difference, and we'll constantly butt heads if we don't just understand the way we experience blackness in the UK is very different to the way that blackness is experienced in the US. And that's probably very similar for continental, like, Africans, and like, but I also think continental Africans have migration you know what I mean? But like, I don't know. I feel like I've explained it well. And I know there's things like, you know, it's not like we have diaspora wars about protecting culture and not allowing certain cultures to become dominant outside of America. Like, there's the whole thing of, you know, discussions about how sometimes, like, Jamaican culture and Caribbean culture can sometimes be conflated, and then like other Caribbean cultures maybe are not seen as so prominent. Things such as the fact that like Afro beats and Amapiano are all like lumped into one, and the idea that like obviously Amapiano, I don't know this factually, but like the argument that Amapiano started in South Africa and now like Amapiano is massive in Nigeria, and like who owns what culture. but largely understood there is a lot of cultural exchange in different countries, even though if you're South African, you're not ethnically Nigerian and vice versa. And obviously South Africans, Nigerians do have their own like kind of xenophobia beef thing. I don't know whether that's still going on or not, but like I just think we deal with things just a bit differently. And I'm not saying that there's still not issues on a wider scale internationally with like the way that like individual black cultures are protected, and I don't think black Americans are wrong for wanting us to remember that certain things come from black Americans, but like us, the way in which we engage with black culture in the UK is just informed by the way we've been socialized to understand what black culture is. For example, I am Tanzanian, so Tanzanian culture is mine. Ugandan culture is not mine, but through it being black culture, it is something which I experience, love, celebrate, enjoy, and I have a certain, not claim to it, but I like, there's just, the cookout in the UK is different because we're all like, it's a bring and share. I feel like that's the easiest way to explain it. Like the whole party is different. It's a bring and share, and I understand there's differences, but I think we have to learn to understand each other. And that's the only way we're gonna like come. And this is really, like, genuinely, I'm trying to explain things. There's no wrong, there's no right. The frustration on both sides, I can understand. But I really do want us to just try and understand each other, because there's too much greatness in blackness for us to not. So yeah.
Not to start a diaspora war or nothing, but I was at the gym this morning and on shuffle, this British man was rapping and he said he don't talk to the feds. The UK government does not have a federal government.
Really?
And then somebody got mad at me because they're like, it's slang for police. No, it's not. Federal agents.
I, for one, have never understood why we cannot just get along, bro. Niggas start off by saying, not to start a diaspora war or nothing. Proceeds to say bullshit. What are we talking about here? Feds. Brother, it's slang. What? Who cares if we have federal? Who cares? The reason I stitched this is because I'm confused what his point is. So can we, like, do we just stop saying feds now? Don't even use it in that context. Of course, we're not referring to federal agents. But there is more, though. There's more.
Or drug crime, the big boy crimes, the one federal prison ain't the same as local and state prison. Y'all don't know what y'all are talking about, and y'all rush to copy us, and then swear up and down we don't have culture. Y'all don't even know what y'all talking about. And I'm not.
We've seen almost like a minute of that video now. Could you tell me what his point was? I don't know, guys. This video was random. I just saw this in my FYP, and honestly, I'm just confused. What point is he trying to make? I even think we got the slang feds from America. I don't think they're related at all. But yeah, my fault, OG. We'll stop copying you black Americans. You got it, bro. You got it. Guys, let's just start calling them police, all right? Because just so he's not offended. As I said earlier, I never understood why black Americans feel the need to make videos like this. Because what point are you trying to prove? Why can't we all be friends? We all have the same skin color. We went through like slavery and whatnot. Black Americans think because they've been living there for generations, they can just chat shit to every other black person. Just because we're first gens and they're like, I don't know, however many gens. You ever just look at a black American and think, damn, you're still a slave?
So a pretty big black American creator on this app has gone on to X to tweet that British rappers don't know what they're saying when they're referring to policemen in the UK as feds, because of the fact that there is no federal police force or no federal government in the UK. And I just want to explain to everyone who might be interested the way in which Multicultural London English, or MLE as it's shortened to, works. So first of all, British people understand there are like 27 federations in the world. So like, we understand what a federal government is and the fact that we don't have one, or a federal police force. That's general knowledge in the UK, obviously. But MLE is a multi-ethnolect, which means that it is a language form or dialect which is comprised of various different other dialects. That includes obviously a lot of just British English or UK English, as well as West African languages and dialects, patois, as well as some like South Asian influence and also Arabic influence. And of course, American English influence and by extension AAVE. But it's not specifically like targeting any one of those languages. The probably most common like language or dialect it copies or borrows from is patois, but there's like various like other influences as I've listed previously. And the way in which MLE kind of evolves is very, very quickly, like very generationally. Every couple of months it's evolving and it's changing. And that's not only because of the rich international community that exists in London and across the UK, but also because of the fact that specifically like in like you could say roadman culture or UK rap, one of the purposes of it being a multi-ethnolect is that people that spoke it, especially like in inner cities, right, is that it is a coded language that not a lot of other people understand. So you're constantly borrowing from other languages for the purpose of obfuscating language a bit on purpose. Like it's kind of like a code language that everyone in the community understands, but people outside of that community won't understand. So that's one of the reasons as to why like a word like Fed would have been taken, because feds do not exist in the UK, but calling police feds is another slang way to be able to like refer to them without saying the police force, the Met, because that would obviously be obvious. But we also call police Jakes. Jake is not like a widely known policeman's name, but it's another way to kind of hide the true meaning of the word, if that makes sense. And it's just really interesting that obviously, like, as I said, like, West African languages and dialects and South Asian languages and patois are some of the main components of MLE, but you never ever hear people from those communities being up in arms about the fact that, you know, in MLE we use this word and maybe it has a slight different meaning. And even within AAVE itself, there's not one singular AAVE. AAVE is regional, like it's a regional dialect, and it is constantly evolving as well. And there's also constant borrowing from other regions of AAVE that might slightly change the meaning of the word or the context in how it's used. And no one is up in arms about that. And I just think that, like, in the UK, in terms of like blackness, not even that MLE is specifically like a black only dialect, although it is primarily spoken by black British like people, there's just no idea of this singularity, that there's one correct way to use this language, and if anyone uses it in a different way, then they're using it wrong. Of course, there's like more generally understood ways of using certain terms, but like I feel like even peng and leng, I feel like I remember peng having being such a much more like commonly used word, and then now it's like leng. Like things just change, and like that's okay and that's fine. And it's also funny because like with the UK rap scene, when we see people from other countries, you know, making similar music, we rarely ever don't celebrate that. Not saying it's right or wrong not to, but like a lot of times you'll see rappers from the UK collaborating with those artists. Like it's interesting to see different cultures, interpretations on your art form. Obviously that does get to a point where it's like cultural appropriation. I'm not denying that happens, but I think that it sometimes feels like there are certain, I'm not saying it's all black Americans, but there are certain people in America that don't understand the line between cultural appropriation and cultural exchange, especially when it comes from a community of black people or the black diaspora. And I feel like it's weird because a lot of black Americans understand that like blackness in terms of being black American is like the dominant idea or concept of blackness globally, but then don't expect people from West Africa or people from the Caribbean or people from the UK or France or wherever to be inspired by that or be influenced by that, like as part of a global black identity. Like black Brits find it so interesting the way in which people from francophone countries use slang. Like it's so interesting. When I was talking to my French friends about Aya Nakamura, and like it's just so interesting to understand that. Like, and like we love dancehall in the UK, like, and Afro swing. Like I don't know, I just feel like we just have such a multicultural view of what blackness means, because that is how blackness exists in the UK. It's so multicultural, and it always includes Black Americans. Like, it's not just one version of blackness that we celebrate. So it's so weird when we are kind of like incorporating all these various types of blackness in the UK, and it only ever seems to be one specific type of blackness which we are prohibited for, or like told off for using. Like, it's so weird. And I just think that, like, again, not all, not even most, but enough for it to be a pattern. I think the select few Black Americans who have this like paranoia about every single instance of cultural exchange amongst Black people being cultural appropriation have to let whatever hurt or resentment or jealousy or bitterness go, because it's stopping us from forming like a wide community of like globally celebrated blackness. I promise you, like, no Black Brit is listening to like Black American music and thinking, oh, well, that phrase or that term actually means this in patois, or that actually in West African it's a different, we don't care. We just love to hear what you guys have to say. We love to learn about your guys' experiences. Like, I feel like, for me at least, I love Black British music and culture, and I love Black American music and culture. I love Black African, I love Black Caribbean. I love all different types of cultures. And I just feel like it's like there's this want to be singled out. There's this want to be isolated and isolationist. And I feel like it's just so like unproductive. So yeah, that's all I have to say. Also, additional point, in rap music, obviously there's always a lot of like exaggeration and hyperbole, because rappers are trying to express like a larger than life character of like, you know, grand theft, etc., etc. And so obviously the understanding and knowledge that a federal agent is more serious than like a state policeman or whatever you call them, is what is going to lead to Fed being the word which was adopted into MLE and not like just cop. I mean, we have copper in the UK anyway, but I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know if that's confusing to anyone or not, but yeah. I would actually argue that UK rappers are the modern day Shakespeares, because a lot of UK rap is just UK like rappers talking in such a convoluted code or riddle that you can't understand it. Like, UK rappers truly are the new Shakespeares, and the fact that other people don't understand it just goes to show that it's working. Yeah, so keep it up, guys.
PSA to Black Americans, we should ignore Black Brits in 2026. That goes for the online content, the back and forth between making videos about Black Americans, about their lack of knowledge of what it means to be American, what it means to be Black American and Black American history and identity. Because the rage baiting videos are aiming to get content and views from Americans to start a larger conversation, to catapult them into some sort of relevancy within the diaspora. I just saw a video from Shaheem that was talking about Black British rappers' use of the word the feds. And there is now this whole dialogue online of Black British people saying that the feds doesn't come from America. One person even went as far as to say the feds doesn't mean the FBI, when it literally fucking means the FBI. Throw out insults like, oh, but you're speaking English, as if English is your language. You are a Black Brit. You were a product of colonization, just like me. And to be confident and wrong and loud and wrong consistently is wild to me, because in your attempts to always tell Americans that we center ourselves, we're ignorant, is the same way you arrogantly think you're smarter than me because I have an American accent and you grew up in England. And that's just factually not true, because you guys prove day in and day out you don't know anything about America, American culture, American history, or why we exist in the capacity that we exist in. The same way we don't know about you, because there are nuances that will never be understood or learned about each other's culture because we don't exist in that culture. There is this incessant need for them to deny the impact and influence of Black American culture on the Black British identity, and how that cross-cultural consumption and immersion has provided them some sense of identity in the UK. And that is not me centering America and Black Americans as the source or the blueprint in the diaspora, because I don't believe that that's a correct terminology to use, but I do know that the Black British identity is such in its phase and state of infancy that the only parallel that they can put in their head as their identity would be a Black American identity. So the use of hip hop culture, them having their own hip hop culture, them wearing Nike and thinking Nike came from the UK, saying that they were Nike tech even though Black people in New York started that. The list goes on. There's so many things that they do that they have picked up from the globalism and the hegemony that America has had in the world for 100 years, and then adding in the special relationship the UK and America have had. So there's no reality that they would not be consuming us and be impacted and influenced by us, and that's fine. But I think where it goes awry is that they don't understand that conversely, we have zero exposure to them, zero consumption of them, and zero knowledge about their existence, why they're there, and their culture. So when we got to this platform and there was now an algorithm that was giving us content from across the pond, because Instagram never really did, you have all these Black people being like, whoa, what are y'all talking about? Like, I don't know anything about what you're saying. And in my time living in the UK, and I worked there, I went to London School of Economics, I've been going to London for 20 years. British people are very pleasant people. Like, it's not, like a few people online making content about America is not representative of the entire Black British diaspora. And conversely, the older Black Brits, they understand where their influences come from. It's the younger ones who are trying to solidify themselves as like this beacon of culture in the UK, which is their right? Like, and I think that's where this whole conversation goes awry. Black Americans don't care about what y'all do, but like, someone says this word and this slang comes from our language, you can't say no, it doesn't, when it literally does. And I think as Black Americans, we just gotta like ignore them, because the more we feed into it is the more they come online smug and arrogant and confidently wrong in everything they say. And my thing is to be confidently wrong in what you're talking about just because you're British and you think you know better than us. Who's the ignorant one? Happy New Year.
This is where the misunderstanding comes from right here. And I don't care how many times we say it on social media, there's going to be someone who's late to the party, okay? This needs to be taught broadly or globally, okay? However, it's just not going to be taught. Therefore, it's up to us in social media to handle it. Black in the UK is solely racial, okay? Is solely racial all the way into their politics. It's racial. That's it. Okay? That's it. In the United States, however, it's far more than a racial category. It's an ethnic and cultural category. Okay? So Black, capital B, is not the same as Black, little b, over in the UK. The reason for this is because it came to be in a different way. Okay? When people learn about Black outside of the United States of America, they're solely learning racial. That's all they think about is racial. They think that Black is racial. Racial, racial, racial. That's all they know, is it being a racial category. But in the United States of America, it's more than a racial category. It's an ethnic and cultural category, okay, for ethnic Black Americans. We have several endonyms, okay? African American, Afro American, ethnic Black American, foundational Black American. All of those are endonyms, okay? So when people come into the United States of America, they don't understand the language like they think they do. Okay? There's a lot to learn in the United States of America, and one of them is the term Black. Okay? It is an you have to understand endonym and exonym. Okay? Whereas in the UK, the term Black was an exonym. It was given. The term Black in the United States of America was a self-designation and an endonym. Okay? Now, a lot of people want to argue about that. But that's a whole other history lesson. Okay? You don't have to argue about it. I'm telling you, that's what it is, okay? I'm telling you. The reason I can tell you this is because we have institutions that prove it and celebrations that prove it, okay? We can get into it if you want to, prefer not, okay? And there's documented history of it as well, okay? So, foundational people of a country reclaimed and claimed black and defined it, okay? Whereas in the UK, the racially black people over there aren't the co-founders and didn't create the UK. Follow me? And so they move from different places, they move into the area. And it became an exonym. They are simply just racially black people with different cultures. Okay? Because their cultures are different. Whereas in the United States of America, black Americans came up. We came up from the soil. Okay? We came up from it. Okay? We founded it, we built it. Okay? There's a big, big difference. So when people come over, they just assume HBCU means, no, HBCUs were founded for black Americans. Okay? They didn't exclude a whole bunch of people. Now, let's go back in the day. When I say exclude, back in the day, they were formed because we had to build them for ourselves. So white folks excluded themselves. Okay? Because white folks excluded black America from white America. That's just how it was. That's in short. Okay? So black means black. And black means black American. So when people moved over who were racially black, because they couldn't just roll up. They weren't going to be able to roll up into any white American school like that. We adopted them into our black America. And that's how it was. Okay? So there's a difference. It's not the same. So when you hear people saying, well, we're black over here, you're racially black. Yeah, but you're not black. So that's the difference.
I turned my back for 2 seconds and y'all on here arguing about the word feds. You wanna argue. I ain't arguing with you. I do want to participate a little bit though, so tag me and Giselle in. I'm finna keep it a beat with you. This ain't about the word feds. What it's actually about is the ongoing narrative that black Americans don't have culture. It's history and trauma. Methinks this is where the resistance is coming from. Here's the thing about culture that I don't think a lot of people understand. Culture ain't gotta exist of ancient traditions. Sometimes culture is about adapting, surviving, creating a language and a system that wasn't built for you. What's also interesting is that all of the cultures that are a product of the transatlantic slave trade developed this way. Brazilian culture, Cuban culture, Dominican Republic culture, Jamaican culture, Grenada culture, Polynesian culture. I don't think I need to keep going. You get it. See, here's the thing with black American culture. A lot of it is exported globally. Hip-hop being one of those things. And of course, African American vernacular English is in hip-hop. So no, I'm not surprised they're calling the police the feds, right? Don't participate in hip-hop, you go use the language. And to be honest, this happens in a lot of industries, especially beauty. Beauty trend will get started, and then it'll go global, and then people start switching it, smacking it up, flipping it, rubbing it down, changing it from its meaning. This is done to make it neutral so they can participate in it. Let me be clear. I am not saying black British people don't have culture. Y'all do. Two things can be true at once. I'm also saying black Americans have culture. And it's time we start acknowledging it. Black American culture exists, even if it don't look traditional. I feel like that's a good place to start off 2026 in. Happy New Year, bye!
Welcome back. I must say, credits to those creators, right? They're just few creators anyways, but then this is the truth. Black Brits have decided to come for black Americans this year. And I don't even know why. I don't know why this is happening. To be honest, it's not supposed to be happening. It's not supposed to be. You guys are supposed to be. I'm talking to the black Brits. You guys are meant to be like correcting other black people about how they perceive black Americans. Yeah, I think that's what I want to say. But that's the truth. It just feel like, oh, this year they went and they sat down and then they decided, oh, since black Americans are saying they're not saying anything, we're going to come for them. And now black Americans, this is what I have to say about this. It doesn't matter who speaks English more than who. The thing is, black British people have where they're from, right? The fact that they are speaking English is because it's a borrowed language, right? A lot of them you see in Britain, in the UK and all of that are either Nigerians, Kenyans, Ghanaians. You know, they're all from Africa. I'm telling a lot of those black people are literally Africans. The only thing you're going to say about them is some of them were actually born there. You know, they've got their citizenship, you know, and that is all. You know, there's this thing about Africans. When they've gotten this passport stuff, they tend to rub it off. They tend to want to show it off. That is what it is. So now, if I am to advise a black American, unless you're a content creator that wants to indulge in this, right, pursue views, you know, maybe revenue and all of that, if not, please just ignore. Ignore all of that. Ignore. They come for culture, they come for English, and I'm like, Americans taught these people English. Like, now, I don't want to side anybody, but if you ask me which of the accents do I like black American accent too. I don't know why. Like, black American accent is the best for me. Sometimes the British accent, I begin to imagine, what are these people speaking? Because some of those things don't even sound English. They speak as though they're speaking from the nose, or would I say from the throat? I don't get it. But you said the black American English, the AAVE, is stamped, is owned, is the black American culture, and you can't take it anywhere. So now, with that being said, black American PSA, please go inside and keep sleeping. Ignore all of this. Yeah, ignore all of this. It will pass. But the more you indulge in things like this, it will come harder. Ignore all of this. We know who is who, right? We are the ones watching, right? We understand who is who. I'm telling you the truth. Now, black British people, I don't know what people came with this year, but honestly, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. You guys should stop this. You guys are amazing people in different ways. What is the meaning of this? What is the meaning of this? I don't like it. I love all of you, right? But sometimes I feel most of these things you guys do is pure attack on, you know, the FBAs, and it's really not fair. I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comment section. If you're from the UK, let me also see your thoughts in the comment section. Probably I'll go do a research and do a video about it too. But this is what I genuinely feel, and I feel it's unfair, to be honest. Yeah, let me see your thoughts in the comment section. Please do not forget to subscribe, like, share this video. I'm having a horrible time. I can't even monetize this. Anyways, I'm going to do it on a video separately from now, right? Just keep praying for me. I need you to pray for me. Yeah, pray for me. I'm not earning anything from this content I do anymore, right? They took away my... Anyways, watch. I'm going to do a short video about it, so watch out for it. Watch these videos. I'd like to hear your thoughts about this black American stuff. I don't want to put my own personal issue into it, but then watch these videos. But do not forget, I love you all so much. My name is Blessing on Global Gist with BJ. I hope you're having a nice 2026.